Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. How much time will Brandon Cooks miss after knee infection? The injury bug continues to hit the Dallas Cowboys hard. This week, the team announced starting wide receiver Brandon Cooks will miss time after suffering a knee infection following Week 4. Cooks underwent a procedure after the team's win over the New York Giants, which resulted in the infection that could sideline him for multiple weeks. Jane Slater of the NFL Network provided an update on Cooks' status and a timeline for his return. Cooks has already been ruled out for Week 5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he could ultimately miss up to 3 weeks of action until he returns to 100%. A source informed tells me the Cowboys were aware of the injections that wide receiver Brandon Cooks was undergoing in New York post-game, Slater wrote. Described as a common solution to avoid a scope for the meniscus. The knee got infected. When he returned to Dallas, Dr. Dan Cooper, the team doctor, then scoped it to clean out the infection and smooth out the meniscus issue. Brandon should feel great in 1 to 3 weeks. Through September, Cooks has 9 catches for 91 yards and 1 touchdown. In his absence, the Cowboys will look for increased production from Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Devonte Turpin, and 6th-round pick Ryan Flournoy. If one of those players can step up and provide consistent production in Cooks' absence, they could earn a bigger role in the offense moving forward. Reports conflict on Cowboys' trade interest in star Devonte Adams. If the Cowboys want to address holes in the current roster, there is no shortage of areas for the team to address. The defensive line has been trouble, the linebackers need depth, the defensive backfield has been hit with injuries, and the running backs are ranked as the worst in the NFL. Take your pick of issues. But the team does have a star wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, who is off to a slow start after having held out for a new contract for nearly all of the offseason. Lamb did sign, has begun to play better, and is one of the top 3 receivers in the game when he is at his best. Still, with star Raiders receiver Devonte Adams on the trade block, speculation about the possibility of a Cowboys deal to acquire him has been running active. The Raiders want a 2nd-round pick for Adams, with additional compensation, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. The Cowboys could make that happen, especially with a deal that would send out the pick with quarterback Trey Lance, who would satisfy the Raiders' need for a developmental quarterback on the roster. Alas, there are sharply conflicting reports on the Cowboys' interest in such a deal. Cowboys monitoring the trade situation. According to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, the Cowboys are monitoring the Adams situation. The Jets and Cowboys are among the many teams monitoring the Devonte Adams situation, Rossini tweeted on October 1st. Both have checked in with the Raiders. I'm told at this point that Vegas is in no rush to make a move until a team reaches their asking price, but Adams wants out ASAP. That makes sense. Adams is a 3-time All-Pro receiver who has probably already punched his ticket to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is 31 and desperately wants to play in a Super Bowl, which he has not done in his distinguished career. Of course, the Cowboys are monitoring the situation. Every team in the league is monitoring it. If the asking price for Adams were to drop to, say, a 4th-round pick, just about every team in the league would be lined up to acquire him. The Morning News' David Moore wrote, "It should be clear by now that any star player who wants a trade or hits the free agent market will inevitably be tied to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones wouldn't have it any other way. It's on brand." Proposed trade sends Cowboys a $100 million 5-time Pro Bowl playmaker. Few teams are as familiar with Cleveland Browns star receiver Amari Cooper quite like the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the receiver is being floated as a potential trade candidate. Could the Cowboys be interested in a reunion with Cooper? The team did not end things on the best of terms with Cooper, but Dallas needs help across the roster. All-City DLL's Clarence Hill Jr. suggested the Cowboys could land Cooper for a future 5th-round pick. If the Cowboys are still in the race, they need to flip a fifth-round pick for Cooper, Hill detailed in a September 21, 2024, message on X. Cooper is in the final season of a 5-year, $100 million contract the wideout initially signed with Dallas. The 5-time Pro Bowler was slated to have an $8.7 million cap hit this season. According to Spotrac, the Browns made a structural change in his contract that makes him more tradable. The Browns converted all but $1.21 million of wide receiver Amari Cooper's 2024 salary into signing bonus, making him an extremely affordable trade candidate. Now, $941,111 deadline, $605,000, Spotrac noted on X on September 30. Can Amari Cooper still help the Cowboys? It is worth noting there is a reason Cooper is being mentioned in trade rumors. The Stars' production this season has not been the same as it was during Cooper's Pro Bowl campaigns. Through the first 4 games, Cooper has 16 receptions for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cooper posted 35 or fewer receiving yards in 3 of these 4 matchups, but the Cleveland offense is not exactly humming on all cylinders. Cooper just made the Pro Bowl in 2023, posting 72 catches for 1,250 yards and 5 touchdowns in 15 starts. It is hard to believe Cooper suddenly dropped off as an elite receiver over the offseason. As a reminder, the Cowboys traded Cooper to the Browns in 2022 in exchange for swapping a 6th-rounder for a 5th-round pick. Dallas sending a 5th-round selection to Cleveland would be giving up more than the franchise received in 2022. The Cowboys have glaring holes at multiple positions. The Cowboys roster has plenty of flaws, and a strong argument can be made that Dallas has other more pressing needs than receiver. Namely, the defensive line has been unable to generate consistent pressure or stop the run. Now, the Cowboys unit will be even weaker with DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons sidelined with injuries. Yet, Cooper's availability would help fill a need, even if it is not the biggest need. The Cowboys have struggled to find production at wideout outside of CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks is now sidelined with an injury, putting even more pressure on the position group.